We've got Humberto in San Francisco. Thanks for waiting.
Of course. It's a pleasure. Guys, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Amazing. Thank you for having me. You have an amazing show. I've been learning so much with you guys the past 3-4 months. I've been researching the internet, watching all the videos, and I'm learning about criticism, about being skeptic. I've been learning a lot. Thank you so much for the show.
Thank you. How can we help? What question or comment did you have for us?
Okay, so since I started watching the show, I feel like I want to share my experience with you guys. So I'm a very skeptic person. I'm totally by science, and I'm being atheist all my life. All my family are atheists. My father, my mother. Mm-hmm. And I'm from Brazil. In Brazil, we have a bunch of religions over there. A bunch. So it's supposed to be a Catholic country, but at the end of the day, nobody takes nothing serious in Brazil. So
wait, I didn't understand what you said. Nobody's
take nothing serious.
Oh, don't take anything. Just for fun, what I thought you said was nobody takes off their brassieres in Brazil, and I was like, okay, so nobody takes it too seriously. I'm not sure that that's true, because we get email from people in Brazil who are very concerned about religious theocratic ideas and religious encroachments, and so it may be hit or miss in different areas. I've been wanting to go to Brazil and interact with folks down there for quite some time, so maybe that'll happen. But go on with your story.
Yeah, I probably wish to go to Brazil to have something to do with my call, because like I said, I had a personal experience, a very strong personal experience, and my position is if you don't have the experience I had, you should remain atheist. Okay, there's no doubt on that. Because my claim, what happened with me, I'm 47 years old right now. When I was 21, I lost my girlfriend, and we've been dating. I knew her for since she was a kid, and we're very close. But like I said, I was atheist, and I thought someone died. That's it. That's how life it is, and it wasn't easy. Okay. Even so, it wasn't easy for me.
Sure.
Someone approached me with a letter that was supposed to be psychographic. It makes sense, the word? I don't know. It's like a medium got a message from her spirit, and brought me a letter.
Okay, so just to make sure I'm understanding, you were 21, your girlfriend died, and a medium gave you a letter that was supposedly from her?
Yes, actually, a friend of mine got the letter from medium and brought to me.
Was the letter supposedly written before, or did the medium write the letter? The medium was talking to your deceased girlfriend and writing a letter on her behalf.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I got the letter in my hands, and I don't even want to read it, because it's not only because I didn't believe in afterlife, but also there's all kinds of scams.
Yeah.
You're in a very exposed moment in your life.
I have yet to meet a medium that has been able to prove that they're not scamming people.
Yeah, no, of course, you're in a position that you're willing to believe in things because you're very exposed, you're very sad. You want to find a meaning of something, okay? I was looking for a meaning in all kinds of sorts. You can imagine the places I've been. Trying to find a meaning for that, but I'm as a skeptic with critical thinking. I never bought nothing, and I didn't want to even read the letter. Okay.
Yeah.
But how can I say? When you're 21, sometimes you're not. How can I say? Especially in Brazil, you're not so much by the law system, and so me and her used to do things that it wasn't supposed to share with no one. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, and what happened is, in the letter, those things came up. Nobody knew, just us. So that brought my attention. I said, at least I have to give some attention on that, because I'm deadly serious about that. There are things that no one knew was in the letter. That wasn't just impossible. Okay, but anyway, I want to check it. So what happened is, you go to a place, it's like a warehouse, 600 people. They're waiting to get message from spirits.
Sure.
Okay, so people that already die. So what happened is this very old lady called Celia. She started calling from the deceased name, okay? So my girlfriend was called Monica. So I don't know if we can spend that much time with my experience, but she called by Monica. I went there in front of the 600 people. Everybody was there waiting for it, just the same as I did. And she said, "Oh, so you are Humberto." She never saw me before. So it seems like a very, very, amazing thing that was happening. And so, Monica is here, but she's with someone else. There's someone right inside her, on her side. And her name is, what's the name of it? Nilsy. And I was very, I have no idea who Nilsy was. And in front of everybody, you don't feel like you say, "No, you're wrong." I had to be find a good way to say, "I'm sorry, Celia, but I have no idea what Nilsy is." Mm-hmm. And she came to me and said, "Nilsy is your grandmother's sister that died in 1953. She was murdered by her husband." And then I remember that because, when we have some kind of experience in a family that someone get killed by her husband. And I remember that because I didn't know her name, but I knew that happens. And then I remember her name. There's something was just impossible. I'm sorry. But you can, or she's have better information than FBI, or that would be true. So I start coming back. And I start coming back since then.
So Humberto,
unfortunately, yeah, of course.
How many people knew this story about your grandmother's sister being murdered?
My grandmother and her family, which that's all the ones that knew it.
It wasn't reported in the newspaper.
No newspaper.
And there was no other family.
So I'm talking about 1950. That happened in 1950.
So somebody got murdered and there was no police report and no...
No, of course there was. Yeah,
oh, okay. So if there's a police report, then somebody other than your grandmother knows it.
No, of course. Yeah. But if you try to find something in a police report today, when everything is on records, good luck. Imagine in 1950.
Well, see, that's the thing is you classified this as impossible, when in reality, it may have just been a little bit difficult. What a lot of mediums or psychics do is something called warm reading, where they actually go out and investigate the people to find out details in order to convince them that they're getting messages from the other side.
Totally agree. I totally agree with you. And that's my claim. She wasn't waiting for me. I just showed up, sir. She never saw me before.
Well, you went because you'd gotten a letter, right?
Yes, I got the letter.
So she doesn't need to all she needs... Go ahead.
I'm following you. I'm sorry. I don't want to interrupt you. What I'm saying is that happens like once in a week in these events. When I just show up, she didn't know I was there. But you're right. She could investigate that.
So the question is...
There was no relation between my girlfriend and my grandmother's sister.
Yes, there was. Yes, there was. You are the connection.
I know, but there's no last name.
Doesn't matter. You are the connection between the two, and you're the one that the letter was sent to. Mm-hmm. So if somebody sends you a letter, if some medium says, "Hey, I want you to deliver this letter to this guy named Humberto," clearly she already knows Humberto. She already knows something about you. Okay, so she sends a letter to you, and after you get the letter, you go to her meeting. Now, have you watched the video of James Randi exposing Peter Popoff using a...
Of course I did, sir.
Okay.
So what happened is, I totally agree with you. There's a lot of ways to investigate that. In order to do that, you have to have something to gain. Because this is expensive investigation.
You don't think she had something to gain by having 600 people think that she's talking to the dead?
No, because she doesn't. It's not. There's not even one penny happens there. Not even 1 cent.
Okay, so first of all, How does she pay her bills? How does she pay for the arena? How does she pay for the arena where 600 people show up?
It's nobody pays for that. If you want,
I want to move to Brazil.
Yeah, no
I want to
kidding.
move to Brazil where you don't have to pay for anything.
Let me tell you something. This, unfortunately, she dies, but there's someone that is keeping her work. It's not as much powerful as she is, but like you say, you want to go there. I mean,
I think she's probably exactly as powerful.
But let me tell you, just add something. Like I said, I keep coming back. And I got married, okay? And start getting message from all kinds of message. I became taking people with me. So one day, there was one day, unfortunately, there was a bus that catch a fire, and a lot of people die inside the bus. My friend lost his mother. His mother was too fat, and she tried to get out of the bus through the window, but she couldn't. And she died, burned in the bus. And it was like 2 days before I was going there, so I took my friends with me. And once again, she called, Monica's here, and so I went there to get a message. When I went, I brought my friends with me, my friend, and he came with me with no notice at all. And she asked, what are your friends doing here? No, he came here with me because he lost someone. Oh, okay. Oh, I see. Okay, you lost your mother on the bus.
Humberto.
Okay, let me just finish that.
No, we don't need to finish. You kept going back to see her, right? And then you took people with you.
Yes.
So let's say I'm in the business, whether I'm making money or just getting applause or accolades or whatever else, of convincing people that I'm a psychic. And I've managed to convince Humberto that I got a message. And Humberto keeps coming back. Wouldn't it make sense for me to have somebody keep an eye on what's going on in Humberto's life?
Yes, of course. And then you have the biggest investigation institute. You come in with a conspiracy theory. That's what you're coming with. And I learned, don't give attention to that with you.
Well, okay, but let's imagine for just a moment. Here's the facts of the story. Somebody gave you a message that they claimed was from the other side. You went and saw them.
Yeah.
Now, hang on. I'm starting at the beginning. Somebody gave you a message that they claimed was from the other side that had details that you don't think anybody else could know. You went and saw them and got additional information that you don't think anybody else could know. You kept coming back over and over to bring additional people who got information that you don't think anybody else could know. Let's assume for a second.
I can see that.
Okay. The question is, how is this person acquiring the information that they are giving you? Is it more likely that they're talking to the spirit world than that they have some other mechanism, considering the number of magicians and charlatans who can pull this off?
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So if that's the case, how could this ever be enough to convince somebody, to reasonably convince somebody that they're getting messages from the spirit world?
But Matt, let me tell you something. Let me ask you, sir. I'm sorry. I totally agree with you. I'm a very skeptic person.
Well, you don't totally agree with me because you're calling in to talk about how this has convinced you, at least somewhat.
So let me tell you something. If you show up in a place like that with no notice at all, and someone gets to you and say, "Oh, I don't know who you are. Oh, okay, your name is Matt. Oh, okay, so your grandmother had a cat." And start giving those kind of informations that no one could have. You're right.
Nobody knew my grandmother had a cat?
Okay, someone can investigate.
Okay, then you don't. Here's the problem, Humberto. You don't get to say nobody could know this and then turn around and acknowledge that people could. This is how con artists exploit people. They get them convinced that they're giving them information. They get people convinced that they're being given information that nobody could know, when the truth is, people could know.
Yeah, but con artists make money out of this.
Con artists make money out of it, yes. First of all, I don't believe. Humberto, how well did you know this medium?
very well. She's very famous in Rio. And what happened is, in Brazil, we have a spiritual doctrine called Spiritism.
I understand. Yes. I'm well aware of this. I asked you how well did you know this person?
Oh, actually, it's a coincidence. There's a great friend of mine, that I know all his family, and he was one of the persons that works on her staff. And that's how I got to know.
So now we find out
there's another connection.
There's yet another somebody who works on her staff is tied to your family.
Yeah, it's like but it's no. He doesn't know my family at all. Unfortunately, that's not the case.
But he knows you.
I'm sorry.
He knows you.
Oh yeah, he knows me. Yeah.
Okay, so how hard could it be to find out details about your family?
If I find out that my cousin works for John Edwards, do you think I'm going to take anything John Edwards says seriously? I mean, granted, I'm not ahead of time, but certainly as soon as I find out. Okay.
I'm sorry, but what I'm saying is, trying to gather information in Brazil. Good luck on that. It's a big mess. There's no records. It's amazing. You don't understand what I'm saying. It's impossible to get those kind of information.
But no, it's not.
You are too fond. You are way too, Humberto. You are way too fond of the word impossible, when impossible is not the correct word.
Probably. You're right. Impossible is not the right. Unlikely, I say. Very unlikely.
Let me get back to my actual question. Somebody who presents themselves as a medium gives you information that you don't think is very likely they could have come by. What conclusion can you reach from that?
It's a fake. It's a bullshit.
No, you can't. You cannot reach the conclusion that it's fake and bullshit.
That's okay, but this is what I'm going to think. It's going to be at least my first
I asked what conclusion can you reach from that information?
What a conclusion! It's a fake. That's what.
No. How did you determine it was? How did you determine it's a fake?
Because probably it is. It's. I mean.
No, Humberto, this is getting us nowhere.
I'm sorry.
You're calling in to basically say somebody gave me information that I don't think they could have had, and this is making me think that it could possibly be true. And then when I ask what conclusion you should be able to reach from that, the correct answer is I cannot reach any conclusion from that. You then say that it's reasonable to conclude that it's a fake.
Yeah. That's I say you be more reasonable than me. But it was the first thing I thought. I thought it was a fake.
Okay.
But when I read it, and I saw the details that no one knew. We'll talk about.
Okay, well,
but we've already established that.
Wait, I can't keep doing this. Go ahead, Jim.
We've already established that some people did know those details, and that it's not impossible.
No. I'm sorry. We're talking about two things. Things that was in the letter. No one knew. We're talking about outlaw things.
Okay. Well, look. I think we probably need to move on, but just to let you know, we get emails all the time from people commenting on Spiritism in Brazil and how it's one of the biggest scams out there. And so I think you've been scammed, and I know that's kind of...
I don't know how. I just don't know how, because I haven't...
So you're basically, somebody did a magic trick, and you're irritated that you don't know how it works. Well... Yeah. Trust me, I know how some of this stuff works, and one of the big reasons that I don't tend to tell people is because if you tell somebody how a trick is done, and they aren't experts in this and they don't study, then they think the next time something very similar happens, it was done that way, and if they can show it wasn't done that way, now they're more likely to believe it. If I show you how I last night at the Christmas party that was at my house, I predicted a card that somebody was going to take. It was in an envelope sitting off to the side, boom, done. If I told you how I did it, you would think you know how that trick is done. But maybe I know 20 ways to do it. And so if I tell you one way, and that's all you know is the one way, the next time I do it and I show you that I didn't use that method, you're more likely to think that it was real. I'm sorry that you don't know how. I'm sorry that you don't know how these mediums and psychics do their tricks.
Actually, I do, because I've been those last 10 years, and I saw a lot of ones that was a scam. And in contrast to it,
I'm confused. I'm confused. Are you saying that you think this person was scamming you or not?
No, I've been with this person for the last 10 years, going to not only me, but thousands of people. It's a very popular place in Rio. They don't, like I said, they don't charge you any money for that.
So you've given no...
I've asked this question 4 times
You've given no money to this person?
No money.
Has anybody you know given any money?
Nobody gives no money.
I don't believe it.
Yeah, I don't believe it either.
I don't believe for a second that this person is not gaining financially. But even, oh my God, even if they're not gaining financially, you've identified this person as an incredibly famous medium that hundreds, if not thousands of people go to. Now, maybe they're not charging anybody at that event. Maybe she's not getting rich off of it. Maybe she's never made a penny off of it, but she's gotten famous off of it, and that's enough reason for some people to do it.
Actually not. She didn't get famous off.
Okay, we're done. You don't get to talk about how somebody's an incredibly well-known medium and how hundreds and thousands of people are going there, but she didn't get famous off of it. I'm sorry that somebody probably or possibly used a magic trick to fool you and you don't know how it works, but...
Just going to also point out the famous last words here. I'm very skeptical, but...
Yeah. So I actually, on occasion, I've been a magician since I was 3. I'm doing more and more of it. I'm doing an event with James Randi on April 2nd. What I will do for Humberto is, while James Randi and I are there, assuming it fits with the schedule, in the talk that we're having about magic and skepticism, I will go into the spiritism, psychics, and what we can and can't say about those things. You can look around online. It's April 2nd in Vancouver. It's put on by Pangburn Philosophy, but it's me and James Randi talking about magic and skepticism. And then after that, I'll be touring Canada, hopefully. We're still working out details, doing some of my own magic, including mentalism, where I can pretend to read people's minds and make predictions and all the sorts of things that the air quotes psychics do.
Wasn't it James Randi that did something one time where he was trying to show people how cold reading works? Mm-hmm. And so he did the whole cold reading spiel, and then he explained it to the audience, and somebody stood up and said, "That's not true, you're a fake." And he's like, "Exactly, I'm a fake." And then he realized what the guy was saying was that, no, you really do have these, these abilities. You're faking it, you don't.
Right. And so another example is I believe it's Ray Hyman, who was doing cold reading, which is this kind of conversational priming to get information out and make it seem like that you're reading their mind or getting messages from the other side. And there's a whole bunch of aspects to this that we're not going to go into. But Ray got so good at it that he started convincing himself that he could actually do and so this is one of the things, a lot of these psychics buy into their own bullshit because they get so good at what they're doing that they think, oh my gosh, back to coincidence, I certainly couldn't be getting all of this.
Yeah.
And if you throw out a seemingly random, strange bit of information, like there's a handful of people out in the audience, but from somebody out there, there's a dog that it didn't die, but it was injured recently, and you had to take it to a vet. And the dog's name is like something like, it's a strange name. It's not like what you would normally name a dog. Is it Randall or something like that? If you have a big enough audience, sometimes that's going to hit. But let's say it didn't. Let's say nobody acknowledged. Everybody's out there going, nope, no dog named Randall, no dog named Randall. You just ignore it and you keep going on saying the next thing of bullshit that you're going to say. And when people walk out of the theater, they remember all the things you got right, they forget all the things that you got wrong, and they think you're a miracle worker. When really, you're making some commonplace statements about people. I can look out in the audience and just based on somebody's ages, there are certain things that I can think are likely about them. Somebody on this side of the audience was playing a video game yesterday, right? If so, raise your hand. Yes, so boom. Oh, two people on that side. And nobody on this side of the audience was playing a video game yesterday. Is that correct? So there's 4 people over here, and I got it absolutely correct.
Oh my God, you're psychic. It's impossible you could have gotten that
Look.
right randomly.
If you know how to do something that somebody else doesn't know, that's cool. If you use it to exploit them the way that the mediums do, where they go into people who are grieving, who have lost ones, who are desperate to reconnect, that is vile and disgusting. And I don't care if you're doing it for money or prestige or just to make yourself feel superior to somebody else, you're getting something out of it. It's, you know, if these people could really talk to the dead, why don't the dead ever tell us anything useful, like where they hid the will?
Yeah.
Why don't they tell us, I'm not really your father. You should get a genetics test so that you can discover that you actually have conditions or are likely to have conditions that don't come from me. That everything about your family medical history is wrong. Oh, that you were actually adopted and we never told you. Hey, I voted for, you know, so-and-so in this election even though I told you this other thing. Oh. Nope, it's I love you, I'm fine, things are great over here on the other side. Oh, and standing next to me is your grandmother's niece, and she lost a cat once, and it's buried in the backyard. It's not important, you're never going to look, but you're going to think, yeah, there's a cat buried in the backyard. Sorry, honey, I didn't mean to go to dead cats. But where to now?